NFL owners have tabled voting on the Tush Push. So tabled means they're going to do it again in May. And the Packers, I guess, were the ones to bring this up. And do the Packers look weak because they're the ones bringing it up? Like, I think everybody doesn't want it but the Eagles. But one of the teams has to bring it up. And do they draw straws? And it's like, all right, LaFleur, you guys have to go bring it up. You got to look like the weak ones. Guys. Yes. And so the NFL owners have tabled it. They will not have any sort of ruling on the Tush Push. And I want to play a clip before I go to you guys of Sirianni talking about injuries and if they happen and his data during the Tush Push.
You've made the point that there's no injury data associated with it. There haven't been injuries.
I didn't make that point. They did.
Right.
Yeah.
But then sort of the counterpoint that the others have made seems to be there's injury concerns about it because of the nature of it and the forces. I mean, do you think that those concerns are valid at all? Do you have anything?
Just, again, I know what the data says and I know how we coach it. And we don't coach a push play any different than we coach a quarterback sneak play. So, that if, it's, again, the injury data says what it says, and we coach it the exact same, whether somebody's pushing or whether somebody's not pushing. And I know that play's been, I think somebody said something about Bart Starr running the play a long time ago, so that play's been in for a very long time. There's probably a lot of injury. There's probably enough data on that play to get information from.
If I were king of football, which I would love that title, not sure if it's up, but if I were king of football, I would allow the Tush Push one time a half. I wouldn't cut it because then the Eagles are victorious and outsmarting everyone for the history of time, and I wouldn't like that if I were another team. So I would allow once a half, but I wouldn't cut it. But the thing about the Tush Push that is so boring is that it's so boring on television. Maybe I would allow it inside the 5 as many times as you want, but I hate it when it's like 4th and 1 from the 38 and they do it. And they do it again, 3rd and 1 from the plus 27. And it's like all Tush Push all the time. Like, that's boring. And in the end, that's what wins. The entertainment value, the product. That's why we can't hit our quarterbacks anymore, because if they're hurt, the games aren't as good. Yep. And so the Tush Push is fair. The torpedo bats are fair. I think it's going to be different. Torpedo bats are going to make the game more fun. The Tush Push makes the game a little more boring to watch. And I think eventually there will probably be okay, we're just not going to allow you to pull or push players, and it will not be specifically Tush Push related. But that kind of exists now where you can't grab a player and pull him into the end zone. Like that, right. That's supposed to be a rule.
And if there's a scrum, you can't pull guys off.
Right.
Defensive players can't push.
They'll just reinforce that, right? And that will eliminate the Tush Push instead of going, we are now anti-Tush Push. Because that would look so weak to just eliminate a play that's fair.
And it just seems like you're piling on. It seems like an anti-Eagles play, which TJ, I know you're into because you don't like them, but it's like
that's true.
I feel like this team is so good at it, and it's boring, and it's kind of messy. Let's ban it. Well, that's not really the spirit of sports, right? The spirit of sports is to try to stop it and to have the field the playing field be level. I do think though it eventually will get kind of retooled so that slowly gets eliminated because, like you said, it's not very eye appealing and it's not aesthetically pleasing, and it does kind of slow the game down a little bit, and it's a little muddy. And to use your torpedo bat example, that's pretty interesting because this makes it fun. Chicks dig the long ball, and chicks do not dig rugby scrums for a 1-yard touchdown. And I think that because of that reason, that's why this play I think will ultimately, in a couple of months when they reconvene in May, I think will get modified.
I think the modification will be led by non-Tush Push language.
Right.
Because, again, they can't just go no Tush Push.
Right.
But they can go after further review of whatever hand-picked data they want to pick, because Lord knows you can pick any data and make it work. Because you're right. For the integrity of the game, you can't cut a play because it doesn't work. But for the integrity of what's entertaining on television, which is the number one product, which is where all the money comes from, like, it's boring. It's boring. We can't have boring television. And that's what sports is all about, us not being bored and sitting and playing fantasy and watching games. Next one up, NFL. Overtime changes. Both teams will now be able to possess the ball in overtime in the regular season, even if a team scores the first offensive touchdown. This should have happened a long time ago, but I'm not going to hate on it because they're just now doing it. I'm going to be happy because they are doing it now. You know, they had modified this to do it in the playoffs only, but now it will be every game. This from Schefter. This is a tweet. NFL owners have now passed a rule that both teams will be allowed to possess the ball in overtime in the regular season. The original proposal was for a 15-minute overtime. That has now been amended to 10 minutes. I also hate ties. An NFL tie feels so weak because I criticize soccer for ties feeling so weak. And I know nothing about soccer, by the way, so I have a lot of ways to fix it. Since I know nothing about it, man, I can fix soccer like 10 different ways. But isn't this the most common sense rule change of all the things that we've read so far that probably should have happened a few years ago, but bureaucracy things take a little bit of time to happen? But yeah, both teams in overtime should have a chance, even if one scores a touchdown.
Completely disagree, but I lost this battle a long time ago. Football is a three-phase sport. You know what those phases are, Bobby? Offense, defense, special teams. Okay, they all work together. They're all equal, 33.33%, right? So all of these rule changes have been like, no. The only thing that matters is offense. Well, what about defense? What about kicking? What about stopping them? No. Offense. That's all that matters. So that's what's that's what this rule is. I lost this battle a long time ago. I've accepted it. Look, coin flip, whatever, fine. Stop them, and then you score, you win. If you can't let up a score and then we get a chance. That's not in the spirit of football. That's not Vince Lombardi. That's not Curly Lambeau. That's not George Hallis.
Why are you going all black and white?
That's not football.
You with leather helmets? I mean, that's where you are right now.
5 yards in a
No, I'm not. No. Every rule change in the NFL today is for offense.
Yes, you know why? Back to level one of it's fun, it's entertaining. It has to be, or we don't watch it anymore.
Oh, the person sitting in that chair has told me he loves 13 to 10 games.
Not me. I'm sitting in this chair, and I don't love 13 to 10 games.
10-7, great defensive battle.
No, and I don't like 1-0 baseball games either.
You don't like a good pitcher's duel?
I do not like. No, I do not.
So if you don't want like torpedo bats. If you don't like any of that, why wouldn't you want rules that would increase the scoring?
Well, and the three phases of your game, I'm just using what you just said, are offense, defense, and coin flip. That would be the three.
No.
Because there is a disadvantage based on a coin flip right at when overtime starts.
So then change the opening coin flip to be like, oh, you either take the ball here, second half, or overtime. You take the chance that there might be overtime, then you get the ball first. Change that rule. Don't add extra time. Let both teams get the ball. How about you stop someone?
You're the dealer asking me if I want to split sevens before you even throw a hand out. I'm confused now. What's happening?
Splitting sevens, only against a 6.
I think this is a great change. I think it's a common sense change. I love it. And if it's about integrity, like you had mentioned a few minutes ago, you're Mr. Integrity, Chris. I'm surprised. This is the least integral opinion I've heard from you.
I just don't like the constant rule changes for something that wasn't ever broken. Think about the only reason
it was broken. It was very broken.
It was not at all. The only reason this happened is because the Bills couldn't play defense for 13 seconds. And then they bitched and moaned. And then they got, both teams get a possession now. Or the Chiefs and the Falcons couldn't stop the Patriots in overtime. They gave up a touchdown. You shouldn't get a chance to tie the game after your defense just got worked for 80 yards.
You're putting way too much on the coin flip in overtime. Way too much on the coin flip. That's it. That's the only reason I don't feel like that it.
There's always been a coin flip, okay? Play defense.
But the coin flip at the beginning of the game is a bit different because you've got two halves, and then you get the even up at halftime where the other team gets the ball at half. That's even. That third period, that is an uneven coin flip.
We're talking about even now? Sports are now even and
We're
fair?
talking about integrity. And you know what? Right now,
interesting.
You lost it. All of it.
I still like you, though.
Catch the Rich Eisen Show live weekdays from 12 to 3 p.m. Eastern on Roku Sports Channel in the U.S.